Ah, the Tudors. We like the Tudors. The joys of merry England. Under Henry VIII and Queen Elizabeth, England underwent its own renaissance, with William Shakespeare setting English culture ablaze at the Globe Theatre. But if you lived then, it was a time of religious turmoil and political terror. And the man responsible for executing the Tudors' ruthless justice is my first worst job, the headsman. Many of the most famous names of the period ended up losing their heads. Anne Boleyn, Thomas More and Sir Walter Raleigh, to name but a few. And of course, the man who did the deed was universally loathed. So Geoffrey, if you were a Tudor executioner, why on earth would you take a job where everyone hates you?
I am just an ordinary member of the Tudor masses. I've taken this job to give me some income, or maybe it is to avoid having to be executed myself. I am nervous, I am unskilled, there's no government training scheme teaching me how to swing an axe, starting on cucumbers, working my way up to watermelons. I've got a crowd of 10, 20,000 jeering, cheering Londoners. They revile me, they hate me, because to them I am a symbol of authority.
The Axeman got hefty tips from aristocrats wanting him to make a swift, clean job. He also got the perks of the victim's clothes, but he paid a high personal price for his grisly work.
You are cleaving a person from their body. You are cutting short a human life. And there is no doubt about it that it must have had some effect. Even into later centuries, many executioners, many hangmen in America and this country and elsewhere in France, many of them finished up committing suicide.
And the soul-destroying work was made worse by the tools of the trade. The clumsy ceremonial axe worked by crushing rather than cutting. When Mary Queen of Scots was beheaded, it took the executioner Simon Bull 3 blows to decapitate her. Even then he had to sever the remaining strands of gristle with his slitting knife. With professional standards so low, I was convinced I could do better.
Oh, look at that!
Slicing through the neck didn't mean the axeman's job was over.
Yes. You hold that up.
Yeah.
And you shout, "Behold the head of a traitor."
Behold the head of a traitor!
So die all traitors.
So die all traitors. I could really get into this, actually.
But remember that with the axe and an execution, you are dealing with a living person, a human being.
And presumably the feel of going through flesh and bone would be totally different to the easy feel of going through pumpkins.
Indeed, and don't forget that it doesn't end when the head is severed, because the head then falls onto the boards of the scaffold and rolls away, and the body recoils, it jerks backwards, and the blood comes pumping out of the severed neck, because of course the heart goes on beating for a certain number, and so the entire boards of the scaffold are saturated with blood.
Hang on. I mean, that's not a head, but...
That would give you a far better experience of what it must be like to cleave flesh rather than a mere piece of fruit.
It feels different already, isn't that weird? It just doesn't feel funny anymore.
No, because in your mind, that is a neck bone.
Yeah.
That is there.
Ha! It didn't go all the way through. Quick, give us the knife, give us the knife!
Then hold the head up.
I don't want to do it now.
See? It isn't funny, is it?
No, not at all.
Not at all. It's tragic. Appallingly tragic.
But unbelievably, the job got more disgusting. Traitors' heads were put on spikes. To keep the crows off, the executioner had to parboil the heads first with cumin and salt.